In today's video, we're going to make a raffia bag with an open work pattern with D-rings and a Romanian cord handle. So please stick around and we'll get started on the pattern. We're going to begin with raffia, and I'm going to use a 4mm crochet hook. And we're going to chain 26. We're going to do 2 rows of single crochet, and then we will begin this open work shell pattern. This pattern is multiples of 6 plus 2 stitches. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's our chain, and now I'm going to skip this first chain and I'm going to go into the second one, and I'm going to do 26 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have experience working with raffia, please skip this part of the video. For those who are new to working with raffia, I just want to explain a couple of things. Raffia it's not yarn, it's a type of papery papyrus kind of straw, and it has 0 stretch to it. It's really like crocheting with paper strands that have been woven together into a string. With raffia, I find that it's important to take frequent breaks because it is extremely difficult on the hands, and you don't want to end up with any type of strain or injury to your hands from working with this. So I want to show you that there's no stretch. I'm pulling on this very, very hard right now, and maybe it'll straighten it out ever so slightly, but whatever you cast on, that's it. That's going to be what you end up with. So your tension is very important with this. I find that I kind of grab this with my hand here, and believe it or not, that's where the cramping occurs, especially on my pinky. I don't do the typical kind of thing like this because it has no stretch. It actually runs against my hands kind of hard. Grab it and crush it a little bit between my fingers to kind of loosen up the fibers. So I do that. I kind of crush it between my fingers to loosen it up a little. Also, constantly pulling on the piece that's in my left hand. See the tension of what I'm doing right now. I'm pulling very hard because it will create a consistent tension for me. So you just insert your hook, yarn over, and then pull. And once you get that kind of length, just yarn over again and pull. So I'm pulling with my whole hand rather than just with my fingers, because this really helps with the hand fatigue that raffia sometimes can cause. If you make a stitch and it's a little too tight, just pull on your hook a little bit to loosen it up. Here, I'm gonna see how that's a little tight. I don't like that, so I'm gonna just give it a little tug to create a consistent tension. We're just going to continue making these single crochets. And now I'm in my last stitch. So now that I've finished this row, I'm just going to kind of tug on it. It's not going to stretch. You can't block this or anything, but it does make it a little straighter. So now I'm up to my second row of single crochets. I'm going to chain 1, turn, and now I'm going to go into my first single crochet, and I'm going to make 26 single crochets across. And I'm going to go all the way across. I'm at the end of this row, and I just want to show you that last stitch sometimes twists around a little, so just have to turn the work a little bit to get into that final V of the stitch. And that's my last single crochet of that row. I'm just going to pull on this as best I can, and there's the 2 rows of single crochet. Now we're going to begin the foundation row of the pattern. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So here's 1 and 2, like that. Now I'm going to chain 5 to create the first cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th stitch we're going to make 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. And it looks like that. Now we're going to repeat this motif over and over to the end. So now we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go into the 4th stitch. And we're going to do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And it looks like that. Now we're going to do 5 chain again. 1, 2, 4, 5. Skip 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into the 4th and do 3 single crochet. One, 2, 3. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 3. 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th. And there is the foundation row for the pattern. Chain 1 for the next row. And do a single crochet into your first stitch. Now I'm going to skip my second stitch right here, and I'm going to do 7 single crochets on top of the chain that I made here, the 5 chain. So I'm going to skip this. I'm going to insert the hook under this chain, yarn over, and I'm going to do 7 single crochet. You might have to slide your stitches down. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's my 7. Now I have this 3 single crochet section right here. I'm going to skip the first one, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet into the center stitch. Now I'm going to skip this single crochet, and I'm going to do 7 single crochet across this 5 chain again. I'm just going to keep doing this over and over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's my 2 clusters that I've created. I'm going to skip this single crochet right here, and it's okay if it's a little covered by the 7 crochets you just made. We're going to go into this one right here, the second one, and we're going to do a single crochet. Then we're going to skip this single crochet, and across this chain 5 we're going to do 7 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is getting a little close, so I'm going to try to slide this up a little. It's a little hard to do. And 7. So we're going to skip this single crochet right here of these 3, and I'm going to go into the second one, and I'm going to do a single crochet. And now I'm going to skip this stitch right here, and I'm going to do 7 single crochets across the 5 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going to give everything a pull just to tighten it up a little bit. And there are your 4 clusters across. This is 2 stitches here. So you're going to skip this one right next to the clusters you just did. And I'm going to put a single crochet into the end stitch, which is right here. You can see it. I'm just going to do a single crochet at the end so that I have a nice straight edge. Pull on it as best you can. Again, it's not going to really give. And there is the first row completed. Now chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn the work, and we're going to skip the first single crochet here and 2 single crochet on this cluster. So we're skipping this one. This is a single crochet right there, and 1, 2. So we're skipping this, this, this. We're going in here, and we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. So that's our starting chain here. This is a combination of a double crochet and half of one of these clusters because it's the edge, so it's like it's been cut off in the middle. So that's why we have the 3 chain to account for our double crochet and 3 chains to count for half of our cluster. Now we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to skip the remainder of this cluster here. So that's 1, 2 stitches right there, the center stitch, and the next 2 stitches on the next cluster. So we're skipping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. And we're going to put our hook into the 6th stitch or the 3rd stitch at the top of the crest. So now we're going to do again 3 single crochet. So at this point you should see that we're doing this foundation all over again so that we can do the single crochets across it on the next row. So that was 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this creates the clusters that they're like every other stitch. So a cluster fits between 2 on the previous row. So now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to skip the 2 stitches here, the center stitch, and 2 on this cluster. And we're going to put the hook into that 3rd stitch on the cluster, or the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th stitch total. So we're going to do our 3 single crochets, 2, 3. And that's what it looks like right now. And then we're going to do a 5 chain again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to put our hook into the 6th stitch. And we're going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to chain 2 because again, we only want half of a motif on the edge here. We chain 2 and then we're going to do a double crochet into the last stitch. We're going to skip all this. I'm going to put the double crochet right in there. And that's what the second foundation row of the motif is going to look like. For the next row, we're going to chain 1, turn, and we're going to put a single crochet into the top of the double crochet we just made. I do that right there. And then across this short chain, we're going to do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to skip 1 stitch, and in the second one, we're going to put a single crochet. And then we're going to follow the same instructions as we did on the previous row, where we're going to do 7 single crochet across the chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The new row will look like. So we have a half motif here, and now we've completed a whole motif on the top there. And we're going to just continue doing the same thing. So my stitch is a little buried under this cluster of 7. I'm skipping that one. It's underneath that stitch. I'm going to go into the second stitch, do a single crochet, and then I'm going to do 7 into the chain. And I'm going to do this all the way across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to skip this stitch, which is kind of hidden. I'm going to go into the second one and do a single crochet. I'm going to do the 7 over my chain. Seven. Skip 1 stitch of the 3, single crochet into the second one. We're going to do 3 single crochets across this chain because we're only doing half of a motif. So 1, 2, 3, and then in the top of the third chain, so 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do a single crochet to create a really straight edge. And this is what you have so far. I'm going to continue these rows 2 more times, so you can skip to that if you want, or you can continue with me. So I'm going to chain 1, turn around, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets. 1, 2. And then I'm just going to continue these same instructions. I'm going to chain 5. I'm going to skip all this. I'm going to go into the third stitch of this cluster. It's easier if you just ignore all this and just think of the 7 stitches here. So of these 7, I'm going to skip 1, 2, and I'm going to go into the third one. And I'm going to do 3 single crochets right here. 1, chain 5. I'm going to skip all this. I'm going to skip 1, 2, and I'm going to do 3 single crochets right here. Chain 5. And again, skip 2, 1, 2. We're going to do 3 single crochets right here. 1, 2, 3, chain 5, and then at the end here we're just going to do 2 single crochets into the last 2 stitches. We're going to skip all this and we're just going to go into the last 2. 1, and then this one right here. 2. And that's what you have now. Next row, chain 1, single crochet into the first one of the previous row. And then we're going to do our 7 single crochets across this chain. Skip 1, do a single crochet into the center of those 3. Okay, and then I'm going to go across. I'm just going to do the 7 over the chain, a single in the center, 7 and single into the center, and 7, and I'll just show you how to do the turning chain. So I've completed the motifs across. I've just done the 7 single crochet over the chain 5, and now I'm going to put a single crochet into the last stitch. And now I'm going to do 6 chains. Turn the work. I'm going to skip 2 single crochets right here. So I'm skipping this one, and I'm going to do my 3 single crochets, chain 5, and I'm going to follow the same routine that I was doing, where I'm going to put my 3 single crochets at the top of each crest with a 5 chain in between. So I'll get back to you when I get to the end so I can show you the turning row. But if you want to see that in detail, you can always just go back to an earlier part of the video for that. So I've done those sections. So now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. I'm going to skip all this and I'm going to put a double crochet into the last stitch. And that's what we have now. Final row of doing this motif, and we're going to chain 1, turn, do a single crochet into the top of the double crochet, and then we're going to put 3 single crochets into that half motif. So 1, 2, 3. Skip a stitch, put a single crochet into the center of the 3, and we're just going to follow the pattern that we've been doing this whole time. So we're going to put a single crochet into the center of the 3 here, 7 single crochet, 7 single crochet, 7 single crochet, and I'll show you how to finish off. Gone all the way across, and now I'm up to this last section here. I'm going to do 3 single crochets into this half motif, and then in the 3rd chain, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do a single crochet to end up with a nice straight edge. And there is our motif so far. So now we're going to do a section across the top to straighten this out, and then we'll be able to do our 2 rows of single crochet. Now we're up to our final row. Of the motif. So we're going to create a straight line across the top, so then we can do our 2 rows of single crochet. I'm going to chain 1, turn the piece, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So I'm going to put my first single crochet into the first single crochet underneath it. So there's 1 and then 2. Chain 3. And then in this cluster here, we're going to skip 2 stitches. And just like we did before, we're going to do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Chain 3. And again, we're going to skip the remainder of the 2 stitches in this crest, and we're going to skip the middle stitch and then 2 over here. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And that's what we have so far. Chain 3. Again, we're going to skip these 2 stitches here, the middle stitch and 2 stitches, and we're going to do 3 single crochet. 3 chain, and then we're going to skip the 2 stitches here, 1 stitch and another 2, and we're going to do 2 single crochets to the end. So 1, and then the last stitch right here, 2. Pull on this a bit, and again, you're not going to be able to pull it much, but just a little, and there's the straight line that we've created. So now I'm going to chain 1, turn the work, and I'm going to do 26 single crochets across. So 1, 2, and I'm going to go over these chains. I'm going to do 3 stitches across these chains, 1, 2, 3. And we won't end up with any rounded effect because we're not doing any extra stitches. And then I'm going to do 3 single crochets into the existing 3 single crochets. 3 single crochet across these 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. 3 single crochets into the 3 single crochets, 3 single crochets into the 3 single crochets, 3 single crochets over the 3 chains, then 3 single crochets across the 3 single crochets, 3 single crochets over the 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and lastly 2 single crochets, 1, 2. So this is what we have now, and so we're going to do one last row of single crochets. So I'm going to chain 1, turn the work, and I'm going to do single crochets all the way across, which will be 26 single crochets. And there is the side fully completed. At this point, cut the raffia and secure your end. We'll weave in all these loose ends when we're done. Now we're going to begin crocheting the side pieces. So we have our front and our back, but we need around a 1.5 inch side piece on the sides and on the bottom to create a rectangle 3-dimensional effect. So it'll be in between there. I'm going to use 3¼ D rings, so I need 2 of those. This is optional. You could also just sew the handles on directly, but I'm going to use these to attach the handles to the middle piece that's going to connect everything together. So I'm going to begin with a slip knot, and I'm going to make 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because that is the width that I want between both sides of the bag. So now I'm going to skip this first stitch here, and I'm going to do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chain 1, and then do another 5 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to do the row that we put our D-ring in. So we're going to chain 1, we're going to do 1 single crochet, take our D-ring with the straight side going across. We're going to insert the hook through the D-ring first, and then put the hook into the stitch behind it, like that. And it's sort of like crocheting over a chain. You just pull up the thread, yarn over, and pull it through like a single crochet. Now we're going to do the next stitch. I'm going to put my hook through the D-ring first, then into the stitch behind it. Pull up a loop, and finish the single crochet. Now the last one, we're only going to do 3. Put the hook through the D-ring first, put it into the stitch behind it, yarn over, pull up a loop, and finish your single crochet. I'm going to go into this last stitch without the D-ring and just create a regular single crochet. And now we have our D-ring in there so that we can create our handle. I'm going to continue doing these 5 single crochets. I'm going to continue doing these 5 single crochets until I get to the bottom of the bag, and I'm going to stop there. I'm going to do this in 3 separate pieces. So this is piece 1, which I'm going to stop when I get to the length of the bag. So I'll get back to you when I've gotten down to there. So my side now is the same length as the bag, and now I'm going to make the bottom part of the bag. So I'm going to make a second one of these, which I'm not going to do on camera, so you can just follow those steps again, but I'm also going to make one that goes across the bottom. So again, I'm going to make 6 chains, and I'm going to do 5 single crochets across, and I'm going to do this the same way that I did this except for the D-ring, and I'm going to make 5 single crochets all the way up until I get this as long as the bottom width of the bag. So I'll get back to you when I'm done with that step. Now I've completed the bottom panel. That fits across like that, and it will be folded like this as the bottom. Now we're going to begin putting the bag together. I'm going to begin with the bottom, piece and the 2 side pieces. And make sure your D-rings are at the top part so that you don't end up with a bag that's lopsided. So I'm going to take the bottom piece and my first side piece, and I'm just going to line them up like this. I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the first stitch on the bottom piece and the first stitch on side piece. I have my raffia right here. I'm going to pull it through, yarn over, and do a chain 1. And now I'm going to do a single crochet into that same stitch. So I'm going to put my hook into exactly where I did my chain on both sides, like that, yarn over, pull it through, and do a single crochet. Now I'm going to go into the next stitch on both sides. So I'm going to put my hook into here and the stitch that's right across from it. And I'm going to do a single crochet. Then I'm going to go into the next 2 stitches and do a single crochet. The next stitch, the next 2 stitches, and then the last stitch right here. And that's what the 2 pieces connected will look like. And the single crochets create like a really nice stiff seam right there. Cut the thread and secure this final stitch. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I have my D-ring up there. D-ring is facing up. Put these 2 pieces together. That, insert my hook into the first stitch right there. Pull my raffia through. And this is what you have so far. Now we're going to attach the top panel of the bag, and just make sure you have your piece pointing upward. So our clusters of 7 crochets, just make sure you have the completed stitches pointing up. It shouldn't look like this. These little crests, the roundest part, should be pointing upward. So we're going to do this very similarly to how we put the other panels together. So I have my middle piece here. I'm just going to take my front panel and I'm going to place it on top of the middle panel and just line it up as best you can like this. And we're doing all of this right sides facing forward. I have my hook. I'm going to insert it into the topmost stitch and into the stitch from across, and just make sure your D-rings are in the correct position, which they are. Get your raffia and pull that through, chain 1, and make a single crochet into that same spot where you just did your chain 1. And now we're just going to go across the whole side, and we're going to do single crochets to attach the 2 pieces together. Now once I get to these chains, I'm just going to put my hook under the chain. Okay, so here's the next one, and just find the corresponding stitch across. Bear in mind you're not going to have perfect V's over here. This is a selvage, so you just insert your hook wherever there's a hole. So I have my hook into that chain, and I'm just going to put it into that hole right under it. The one good thing about raffia is because it doesn't have any stretch, the holes are very easy to identify. And this is what we're starting to have. We have a nice crisp edge. So I've done one completed side, and that's what this looks like. I'm up to the corner now. So what I'm going to do is, for the corner points, I'm going to put 3 single crochet into the corner to create a nice turning point. So I'm going to put my hook into the corner stitch on both sides, and I'm going to put 3 single crochet into that stitch. And it's okay if it gets a little tight in there. So I have my 3 stitches in there, and then I'm going to just go into the next stitch on both sides and continue doing my single crochets. And that's the corner point of what we've created. And I'm just going to continue the same process. I'm just going to do the single crochets across, 3 single crochet in the corner and up to the end. And I'm going to do this, cut the yarn, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And here is the first half of the bag put together. So I'm going to cut this, cure that, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Before we move on to the next steps, I want to just show you how to weave in your ends with raffia. So you just take a typical yarn needle, it fits through the eye very easily. And what's nice is because raffia doesn't stretch, you can just slide it through a couple of stitches and cut it and it won't be an issue. So my end is here, so I'm just going to push my needle through a couple of stitches. And then a couple more. You can't do too many at a time because it'll be hard to push the needle through. But that's all I need to do, those few. And then just kind of pull on it a little so you can get right to the edge and just trim it like that. And because it has no stretch, you'll never have that strand pop out. Before I put my top panel on, I want to show you how to make the strap. I'm going to just crochet this strap directly onto these D-rings, but you can use the clasp ones if you want. I'm just going to do it like this because I don't have any clasps at the moment. Make a slip knot and then chain 2. 1, 2. Insert your hook into the first chain that you made right there. Get your bag, and keeping your yarn to the right, insert your hook into the D-ring. Yarn over and make a single crochet through the D-ring. And then you have 2 loops that are secured on the D-ring. Now turn the work like this, and you're going to see a bar right here. Usually we go through our V's when we do a single crochet. With this, we're looking for the bar that's behind the V's, and you're going to put your hook into that bar, yarn over, and make a single crochet. Turn the work, and now you're going to see 2 bars. They're a little hard to see, but there's one and there's the second one. Yarn over and make a single crochet into those 2 stitches. And just make sure you do this loosely so that it's not difficult to do. Okay, and there's your second stitch that you just did. Turn the work, and you're going to see these 2 bars again. So you have your V over here. The 2 bars will be underneath it. Insert your hook into both bars, yarn over, and make a single crochet. Turn the work. Look for those 2 bars behind your stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over, and make a single crochet. Turn the work, and you're just going to keep doing this over and over and over until you have this as long as you want it to be. So I'm just going to keep turning and making a single crochet into those 2 bars. And this creates a cord that's called a Romanian cord. And I'm going to continue doing this until I have it at a length that I'm happy with, and I'll show you how to attach it to the other side. So now that I've continued making more of this strap, I just want to show you how pretty this Romanian cord is. Here is my strap. This is what I have so far. I'm going to make this still a little longer, but for right now I just want to show you how I'm going to attach this to the D-ring on the other side. So I'm just going to insert my hook like that, yarn over, and do a single crochet, and then you have your strap attached to both sides. And here is the bag completed. If you made this project, please let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.